and I'm live, and I'm live, and I'm live. Um, we say hello to the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room may turn out to be the fact that, in my past YouTube channels, I had developed a healthy reputation for elaborate plans, big projects, and pretty much establishing a really solid track record. And really, we kind of established a pretty solid bright line rule that if I said that I was going to do something, if I affirmatively said that I was going to do something, that it was pretty much a guarantee that that thing was absolutely never going to happen. I reflect on that bright line rule as I sit here before you, knowing and understanding that I have kind of, in this solo RPG space, established that I have committed to what I have defined as the kind of, especially for a person who has done no successful solo role play, let's plays, or battle reports so far. Well, more or less, kind of. I really got to be honest though. I've seen a lot of these other, channels. I got to be honest with you. Now that I think about it, does any solo role player ever finish? Right? It's kind of like you just kind of start and then you just kind of go do 2 segments and then kind of like come back 6 months later and be like, folks, about the Dungeon Crawl Classics through the Carnival of the Mad King playthrough from about 6 months ago. My dog done died and my ex-wife was the one who killed him. So we're going to take a mulligan on that one. And lately I've been playing a lot of first edition White Box D&D, and I've been watching a lot of Kenny, the solo RPG guy, explain the Magic Oracle. So we're going to be doing that one. Absolutely. Interruptus of any sort. Coitus interruptus, dices interruptus. Listen, I was just happy I made it to the field. To be interrupted, right? Look for that silver lining, right? Coitus interruptus, you know what I mean? Yeah, they've got to have coitus to interrupt, right? Anywho, we don't want to look sad, drawing too many coitus to role-playing game analogies, because not apt. You might be fucked, but you're not necessarily getting so. Anywho, I'll be here all night. But Micro Chapbook RPG 1.75 won't be, The big announcement. Folks, talk about things. Coitus interruptus, it's not my fault. Morkborg interruptus, not my fault. Folks, listen, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. I signed up for the water world of solo RPG playthrough experiences. I, out of nowhere, thought that I was going to, what at one point was just going to be a gentle attempt to demonstrate that was going to be micro Morkborg, uh, microborg, a gentle PB&J combination of a one dungeon playthrough of let's see if we can get these two things to play well together. Morkborg, the rules light, heavy, everything else. Are you ready for the good times? Are you ready for the summer? Heavy metal is scary for the adults in your life. No, it's not. No, heavy metal's not scary. It, rules light, heavy, everything else. Ooh. You know what I mean? I love Morkborg, but please, every other white adult in your over 30s and 40s, let's stop everything with thinking that anything associated Satan, metal, leather, spikies, anything associated with us, no longer scary at all. I walk by bikers at Dunkin' Donuts with impunity. Don't even think about it. And we all know what got Trump into office, what scares the shit out of people, has nothing to do at all with anything that could ever, in any way, shape, or form, be associated with heavy metal or Satan or anything like kids walk into Spirit Halloween shop and they walk by the scary clowns like they are so anesthetized to any of this heavy horror, crap. Fuck, stop it. I don't ever want to see anyone acting hard over horror ever again. Pentecostal preachers walk around with long hair and beards. I don't want to hear nothing about black leather ever being scary. It ain't. What are you saying? Bikers ain't scary. I'm going to come up on you in the alley, look real scary. If you're not Mexican, you ain't scared. I'll be looking at you like, what? Probably know you. If you're from around here, I'll be like, hey, what's going on? What? Oh, okay. I get it. You saw my YouTube video. What? Jerry, Dave, Bill. What? You understand exactly what I'm saying. You know exactly what I meant. And you know I'm right. Let's get back in the Trans Am, turn up the Ozzy, punch me in the arm. I'll say, stop it. I'll tell you the master. It won't matter. You intimidated me. I'm 47. Beard, longish hair, not scary. Heavy metal, not scary. Satan, not scary. So stop it. Professional wrestlers. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. If there's a topic at hand, whatever. Sammy, what's going on, baby? How you doing? Happy Friday night to you. So I find myself back to the topic at hand, so we don't go on forever. I had plans for this RPG channel to celebrate my ongoing, lifelong love, strange, unique love and relationship to role-playing games and my unique own particular relationship with role-playing games and the tabletop role-playing game community, and I think the interface that happened with my life and the exchange and the interface between tabletop role-playing games and online role-playing games.
Calls will not be answered.
Fuck no.
Calls will not be answered.
Not on that line either. Still send me a fax. Between, like, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, like, JRPGs and whatever, but, trying to concentrate more on the tabletop stuff. But as I came on and as I was doing this, I also, it interfaced with, my exploration of, YouTube, role-playing content, and my exploration and discovery of the solo role-playing game community online and on YouTube. And part and parcel with that was the discovery of new role-playing game content, not just content devoted to the retro stuff that I had collected from my youth and was exploring, including the work of Noah Patterson and their micro chapbook and micro RPG stuff material, solo role-playing game material. And I became very enamored of the work of Noah Patterson, and kind of really kind of became obsessed with it, kind of, and really it became my favorite system to work with and play. It was so easy to work with as a solo player, and I found myself doing more role playing in a couple of months than I had done in years, and was really hot diggity dog about it. And it interfaced naturally with the development of this channel. And I kind of developed this idea of kind of making this channel kind of dedicated to this exploration of this format, this system, and trying to see if we could make this channel kind of maybe a little bit of a hub or, for this system. Though I had been, a YouTube content explorer since YouTube started in, 2005, though I wasn't like, like an early adopter. I didn't, start making YouTube content until 2015. And I don't think I really got into like watching YouTube, like, really became a YouTube junkie, like until like I got like a job with like a good YouTube, like a good internet access in like 2006, 2007. Like 2 years after it started. But like whenever you like start getting into anything, like, your sense of a world of a community or of a space, gets filled in over time. And you start with a level of sophistication, and like a 50-year-old guy or a 47-year-old guy coming into a space is going to come, is going to do better at kind of filling in the blanks and getting up to speed and becoming efficient and figuring out kind of what's the lay of the land and how things really work. They're going to get on their feet faster than like a 13-year-old, but they're still, if they're ignorant about things, about how big things are, how big a community is, or kind of what the certain established protocols are or whatever, it's still gonna take people time to figure out what's going on. And I'm laying that out as kind of a preface to say it took me time to figure out what's going on. And basically what I figured out what's going on is this: my enthusiasm for micro RPG doesn't seem to match any other kind of established or existing community. And I don't know if it's realistic to think that I'm going to do this myself. I especially don't think it's realistic that I'm going to do this myself in light of the fact that I've kind of like been able to basically kind of observe, you know, kind of things, kind of like going on, and this goes into the announcement of Micro RPG 2.0. Micro RPG has been around since 2020. So you have 2.0 of the rules, like the second edition of the rules, and you have a system that's been in existence for 2 years. But that's fine. But if you realize, like, the second edition of Dungeons and Dragons came out essentially in like 1989, right? And that's basically like more or less like um 10 years after first edition Dungeons and Dragons basically came out. And actually, the second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out, I think, in 1989, 1990, which is like a full 10 years after Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out, essentially, and a full like 22 years after Dungeons and Dragons, the first Dungeons and Dragons white box dropped in like 1978, which basically means that, like even just if going from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition, it took, Gary and the boys, 10 years to go from Dungeons Advanced D&D to Advanced D&D 2.0. Now, granted, like you have, Unearthed Arcana and you have Oriental Adventures in 85, which is essentially kind of, like, a 1.5 kind of, thing, a lot of people will kind of have to acquiesce. But, even still, like, like you have changes, but like if we talk about like, like Micro RPG, like I talked about this, like when I talked about like introducing the system, the bottom line is this is that like if I like here's the bottom line. Noah Patterson has a website, they have Instagram, they have Twitter, and they have Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, so I never looked at the Facebook, but I have Twitter and I have Instagram. So on Twitter, nothing ever happens and no one ever even posts. On Instagram, they post, and the only other person that comments on their post is me. So the only thing that could ever be happening at all would be fucking Facebook. And I never looked at Facebook because I'm not on Facebook. I finally looked at the Facebook page, and there's only like 600 and something, 630 odd members. Okay. Even when there's announcements, if anyone comments, there's basically 7, likes, and there's like at most, like the last thing that happened was the most exciting thing that happened. I should have mentioned in the last kind of news update that I did on this channel, like I think like maybe like a day or two ago. I meant to mention this as part of like the list of news events, but I omitted it, unfortunately. We say hello to Spooky as well. Oh, we say hello to Tim Frey as well. I forgot to do the giving out medals, but you'll forgive me if I skip that. So I just keep my mind going. A very big YouTuber especially in only in the realm of solo RPGs, Geek Gamers, covered one of Noah Patterson's products, a card game version of Microchapbook RPG. So Noah posted that fact on Facebook. I brought the fact that Geek Gamers covered them to their attention, whatever, but they posted about it, and that got 7 comments. But the fact that like that they got covered on Geek Gamers, that fact garnered 7 comments, like that was the sort of response I got. Got that response. Like I think that shows that like Geek Gamers covering a Micro RPG product, like that's the sort of thing, that's the sort of news item that you would expect to have noise to generate activity on the Micro RPG Facebook page. So if I was trying to see what kind of action and activity in life was happening, really, like what the nightlife was like in Micro RPG City, that's a good barometer, I believe. Because Geek Gamers is the queen currently of solo RPG. Without a doubt, on YouTube, she is the queen of solo RPG. And with no doubt, with reason. And even her, look at her views. She gets 1,000 views. This scene is a micro mini. The competitive Scrabble people come over here to take our lunch money. They'll kick our asses. They'll kick our asses like we're wearing glasses. We have no pull. We have no clout. We are there are Facebook groups dedicated to exotic Swedish fish variety collections that probably dwarf solo RPG nation. Do you know what I mean? Let's put things into real context. But Geek Gamers is you know what I mean? She's the fucking Patti LaBelle of this shit. Without a doubt. And Noah acted, when I told her that she had covered her, acted like, oh, I didn't even know. So the fact that Noah is that out of tune I'll get into it. It makes me think what am I doing? Because if the captain of the ship is that much of a creative artist, this is beautiful. But it may be that my love of micro chapbook RPG might best be a love of micro chapbook RPG, because if this is a brilliant artist painting in rainbows and smiles who will not have the ability to develop business acumen sense and get this thing going in the right direction, then there is no point. And then we are just going to be, wasting time. Which is not to make assumptions. And this is part of my thing. This is just, I don't know. What the hell? Micro Chapbook RPG 2.0 might be, the greatest thing since sliced bread. All I know is that since this thing started, I have seen Micro Chapbook RPG go from a simple set of beautiful origami-like rules, right, that could unfold into imaginary space. I have seen it kind of morph into this kind of, just kind of grab bag of endless supply of Pokemon cards, which is fine, or Mersbo CDs. At which point I am fine to sign up for that and sign up for, here's the latest cover art, here's the latest, dungeon, here's the, and we'll cover them as we cover them, and we're gonna have to put it into the thing. And it might just be the fact that, look, because when we got to the point where Noah was releasing those dungeons every day, it was almost like I shut down. I was like, you're releasing product at a rate that I can't review. And it got to the point where I was saying, people were because I was saying to myself, this is an awesome product and I love it. And I totally get and understand why people online are always saying the same thing. The Amazon reviews, the drive-through RPG reviews, the Facebook, the reviews, the statements by the consumers they always say the same thing. this product really appeals to me. This product looks like it's right up my alley. But there are so many games here. I don't know which one to pick. I don't know where to start. Which one is the main book? Is this an adventure? Is this a module? Is this the core rulebook? This one says core rulebook, but is this the main book? It says I can get the rules for free, but this says $12.99. Where can I get this? And it was hard enough. And in April of 2020, I guess it was 2020, like 2021, people were told that the advanced dungeon book and the advanced character creation guide and the basic edition rule book and the basic for micro chapbook RPG, which is the fantasy setting, not to be confused with micro sci-fi RPG, which is the sci-fi setting, not to be confused with micro horror RPG, which is a totally different thing, which is not 1.75, but it's its own thing, but has the 1.75 rules. Don't get it confused with, but everything is cross compatible and everything is totally compatible. But then, and everything is going to relate to 1.75. Everyone was being told as 2021 kind of was beginning, everyone was being told that 1.75 was going to be it. Okay. And that was going to kind of, things were, because up to that point, things were kind of piecemeal. New rules were kind of being introduced. The things were kind of being modified. And I was kind of figuring things out, a lot of things out in hindsight, because I was coming in kind of in 2022, in the beginning of kind of the start of 2022. So I was like kind of figuring out how things had gone on before. But I was kind of putting it together and realizing kind of what was happening. But I was also kind of making certain assumptions based on, what Noah Patterson was saying publicly and based on the fact that they were producing this stuff, that there was a demand for this material and whatnot. But when I started to do these videos here, I started to realize, because when you start going through the timeline and when I started reviewing these books quickly, almost simultaneously with me starting to kind of do this channel, I was looking at the amount of stuff that was, being released, and I was looking at stuff, and I was looking at the new releases from Noah Patterson, and I was noticing something. There were new rules being included. There were new things happening that were, wait, hold on, excuse me, pardon me, just a moment. Everything was supposed to lead up to 1.75 and these advanced character creation rules, but contained within Dragons of Dragork and contained within the Academy of Mysticog and these other micro RPG Midnight Series games, and included in these new games that you're labeling micro RPG rather than in a new way, like Neon Road and Warrior Queens, there are rules that don't quite comport with, and there's language that seem to distinguish some of these things from your earlier games. What's going on? And I also noticed things that were kind of this evolution towards this gay realms dynamic, and everything being moved to this gay realms place where everything is taking place in this kind of, I'm going to be honest, this is fine. We have everyone in the live chat is two-spirit. Everyone is trans. Okay. And I am orientation queer. So it doesn't matter. We're fine here. In the gay realms, it's basically bizarro world where everyone is normally gay. Gay is the normative state of affairs. And I guess to be straight would be to be like the 1 out of 10, which is fine. And when I started this channel, when I started talking about micro RPG, people know that I was talking about Noah Patterson and going, I don't really know what the deal with Noah Patterson is. And part of that combination platter of I don't really know what the deal with Noah Patterson is was kind of based on it's 2022 and well, I think all of us would say that we would want our gaming spaces to be inclusive. I wondered out loud whether or not Noah was coming from a particularly, unique space because I commented. This is I said I wondered. I said, is anyone else feeling like the because it's this clarion call for a gay space for gamers. And I'll be completely honest, having, kind of, going to gay spaces and gay clubs and, and being in the gaming community. And I've never really, especially in 2022, I wasn't really kind of feeling like anyone was kind of really saying like either we're getting locked out or fucked up or fucked around in a lot of places and or we got to have a place that we call our own, which led me to speculate that, Noah was coming from a particularly like he was like from the South or something. He was coming from a particularly fucked up place. And it led to, we were wondering about, and I said, I don't know what's going on. I said, and the use of terminology seemed like particularly unique to this individual and all of this stuff. And this continues where why am I diving, back into that direction? Because I'm having to reevaluate and say, look, if you've got a system and you are 1 year on from 1.75 rules, your advanced dungeon making guide has been on the shelves for a year. Less than a year. You released these books in April of 2021. Hold on. I've got the drive-through RPG, and I'm going to open up Amazon too. And I'm going to look Micro Chapbook RPG, Advanced Character Guide, paperback, June 29, 2021. That's the 1.75 rules. Came out in one, and I'm going to tell you, if your Facebook group for your publishing company, for your gaming group, has less than 700 followers, and you just released your advanced character guide, your advanced character creation guide in less than 6 months ago, and you're announcing 2.0, the 2.0 edition rules, fuck that shit, I'm out. Because you're going to fuck this shit up. You already have. What'd you give this system? 6 months to sell? So I'm supposed to get behind, I'm supposed to try, I'm trying to build. First of all, here's the other thing. And not for nothing, not to be like Mr. Ego or whatever. Noah Patterson has not posted about my videos to his Facebook group, to his website, to his Weebly.com, or to Instagram. Why the fuck am I going to put time, energy, and effort into trying to build up somebody's product if they're not even going to help me out to do it? I asked him multiple times. I said, did you watch my videos? And now I don't blame them because my videos are long. And I said, and my videos are kind of crazy and kooky. So I wouldn't blame them if they watched my videos and were like, fuck you. I'm not recommending your videos because I'm not recommending your videos. That would be one thing. But I don't know. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that they should have. I'm not complaining that they didn't. I'm just assessing the state of affairs and saying, if the state of affairs be thus, what am I going to do? So I've picked up subscribers, but I've said, if you like the micro RPG content and you're here for the micro RPG content, tell me in the comment section below so I know that, you're here for it or whatever. I haven't gotten a comment in the comment section below saying that I'm here for the micro RPG content. So, I mean, I don't know if people are or they aren't. I can tell you this, is that what will I tell you this, is that I'm not anti-micro chapbook RPG at all. I'll continue to, cover the product and the material. I'll continue to use it, to try and use it, as the framework for this Morkborg playthrough. As I continue this Morkborg playthrough, like if there's so many things that keep on happening, it's ridiculous. But I'm not angry at No at all. But I will say this, like, yo. So basically how it happened is this, is that, and I'll tell you that, and here's the state of affairs. Like I said, so if I'm looking to assess what's happening on the micro RPG, and first of all, Noah Patterson has not gone out and gotten the rights to www.microrpg.com. He's got the Weebly, they've got the Weebly address. Congratulations. There's multiple people using microrpg.com, microRPG. There's an app that's all over it that has the subreddit for microRPG. The subreddit for microRPG is for the gaming app that's got huge. The Facebook, like, look at if you do a search for microRPG, you'll see you get tons of stuff. I've talked about this. Look at this. You're doing microRPG 2.0. Have you spoken to a business attorney yet about copyright on micro RPG or microrpg.com or micro chapbook RPG? What I keep on saying is the only name you have a snowball's chance in hell of actually copywriting. Maybe you should be watching my fucking videos. Can't help some people, bro. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And I'm not angry, but I'm just saying, I just think that I've seen this before. You know what I mean? It's like brilliant musicians who you ever see those brilliant musicians who it's like, yo, they got signed. I've seen so many I've seen cats who have been signed like multiple times, right? Like got one record deal, like fucked it up, like for some shit, like recorded like a whole fucking record, and like the record didn't get released because like they peed on somebody's fucking wife's fucking shoe at a fucking like promo bar, like honestly, and then like got signed again, like, and did something like equally as fucking crazy, because that's just like the fucking Nick Drake fucking, this person is going to do this. This person is going to insist on flushing their life. That's what they're going to do, right? How are they going to end? I don't know, but it won't be good. And I'm being probably melodramatic, right? But what is the motivation? What is the motivation? The motivation is frustration and upset. Why? It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. Because I feel as though the story's going in a different direction than it could have. But I don't know. I mean, you know, and it might just be that that it's look, because what we were told about 1.75 was Microchapbook RPG 1.75 was being called Microchapbook RPG 1.75 because everything up to that point was going to be totally cross-compatible and interchangeable. So if we're going to 2.0, does that mean that not everything will be? Well, here's the deal. I have said since we started this that I thought that we were dealing with, like, part of the issue was a kind of a new Coke situation. And this happens all the time. It's like Metallica, right? You know, you're fucking Metallica, right? I get it. Nirvana is huge. Pearl Jam are wedding panties from the West Coast to the East. It's a veritable saline flood. Pearl Jam, right? And here you are, Metallica. Wouldn't you love to turn the page? Well, you're Metallica. Shitbag, sorry. It is what it is. You know? And Master of Puppets was Master of Puppets. Do you know what I mean? That was your Master of Puppets. Do you know what I mean? And Load and Reblown, those things are going to be those things. And Saint Anger is going to be that thing. And Lulu is going to be a misunderstood masterpiece. Lulu is an amazing record. Lulu was one of the greatest albums that Metallica were ever involved with. Lulu is a fantastic record with Lou Reed. Check it out, Lulu. I am not being sarcastic in the least. Lulu, fantastic record. Anyway, New Coke. Listen, I'm out here saying I'm a Microchapbook RPG 1.5 guy because I don't think any of this, you know, advanced stuff is really doing anything other than taking what I thought was so fantastic about Microchapbook RPG was the fact that you could do this shit, you know, in the back of a fucking U-Haul. Like, you know, this stuff is like ring and run. You could do this stuff, you know, on the go, homey. 2 6-siders, you know, graph paper. I think you could do this without graph paper. I think, you know what I mean? Like, how's your depth perception? You know what I mean? How do you, how do you feel about exacting details? If you're not working with like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need graph paper. You don't need graph paper by a long shot. What do you need graph? You know what I mean? Just like use your eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like friggin', eyeball that shit. But if you got graph paper, so much the better. You know? And now it gets more and more complicated, adding more and more just, generic, solo RPG Oracle standard stuff like luck dice and, um, advantage or disadvantages, just, adding, variable mechanics that do they add anything or do they add the illusion of an evolution or a modification of the system? Is it just the executives at Coca-Cola creating new Coke in order to justify their existence? Right? That's some of it. Right? That's the dirty little secret. If you're Noah Patterson, maybe, and you've come up with this great thing, micro chapbook RPG, and you can turn out this iteration and that iteration, but after that, there's not much more that it does, or after kind of here's the other thing about this stuff, these tabletop RPG dynamics, these systems, when I looked at, this game, Dark Fort, that is the predecessor kind of to Morkborg. The similarities between this and micro RPG are striking. And this game came out in 2018, full 2 years before micro chapbook RPG. We don't know. I don't know if Noah Patterson was exposed to this game, but it's very likely that there are similar games to it. There have been similar games, these generative type of micro, like 1-page dungeon type games or generative type games. These solo playthrough games, have been existent since like the late 70s. So like a lot of these like dynamics and a lot of these like mechanics, aren't exclusive to any one creator. So like the dirty little secret is like, once this stuff is out and like once these like rules are out for free, the value of them, might not, inure or retain over time, maybe so much. We say hello to Golden Coin 100. We say hello to Pragmagic. We say hello to the Spiked Axe joining us. And I'm not giving up Spiked Axe. I mean, let's be careful. I always have to be careful, like depending on when people join the conversation, where we're going with this stuff. Believe in yourself. Shadow Zone, listen to it a couple more times, and you indeed can become the table. You are the table. I've always said that the micro chapbook RPG core system is at its best when it's the core system at its simplest, with one or two new little things added on to take the individual instance of the game in one or two different directions for flavor. The terror dynamic in the horror games, the adrenaline dynamic in the horror games to add a little more fusion or frisson. There was a sneak dynamic in the survival zombie horror game that added a little bit of different element. But the more mechanics you add, like I said, if you're a solo RPG player, the more mechanics you add, the more dice rolls you have to resolve. The more tables you will have to consult, the more maths you will have to, resolve. So we'll see. we'll see where it ends up going, and we'll see what ends up happening. But the problem is this. So here's like, if I break it down, my take on it is that I'm a little bit concerned that we are less than a couple of months, and I was giving Noah the benefit of the doubt. I was really calling the release of the advanced character creation guide. I was calling that at the beginning of the year. If it's less than a couple of months old, that's like crazy, because the thing is this, is that, so you have and then also you're shooting yourself in the foot, because how are you going to sell the advanced character creation guide that is for the 1.75 rules if you now have these 2.0 rules? But then maybe they'll come out, Noah will come out and say it's cool because the 2.0 rules are completely cross-compatible with 1.75 rules and earlier. Then why are we calling it 2.0? And how does that solve any of the confusion? And how am I going to try and build up or gin up an audience or an audience of support for a system? Hey guys, I know it gets confusing. Now listen, 1.75 is different than 2.0 in the following respects, but follow this. 2.0 is compatible with everything up to 1.0, which makes you say, why are we even calling up these numbers in the first place? Well, we really don't need to, but the producer, the owner of the material, Noah Patterson, God bless their soul, likes to do this. The micro chatbook RPG is technically what they just call the fantasy setting, though everything is interchangeable and you could always bring the characters over for all these things. And contrary-wise, if you do that, what the fuck am I doing? Especially considering that for all appearances, I am the most excited for this material on the internet, including Noah Patterson. I told Noah Patterson that Geek Gamers had covered his game, their game. If you are that fucking out of the loop of your own fucking product that you don't know that Geek Gamers covered your shit, then I'm not going to try and bolster your product, because there's no helping you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get behind Vincent van Gogh until Vincent van Gogh is fucking dead, because Vincent van Gogh alive is fucking worthless. Vincent van Gogh alive is depressing to hang out with and a fucking tragedy. When he's dead, I'll sell his shit and give the money to his mother and feel okay about it. But Vincent van Gogh is a drag. And his ear is freaky to look at. No offense. If I sound like a bitch, I'm sorry. I've had enough fucking tragedy in my life. Honestly, I'm done. Like Judge Judy said, don't hook your dreams to a falling star. If we are going on to 2.0, then we are out of idea. Why are we going on to 2.0? Why are we going on to 2.0? I have no idea what is the drive to go on to 2.0. And meanwhile, in case FYI, and in case you're curious, when they announced that Geek Gamers had covered their game on Facebook, there were 7 comments. This is great. This is wonderful. It should attract coverage of your stuff. People are being very casual. No one is passionate, apparently, about this system other than me. God bless them. That's nobody's fault that nobody is as passionate about this material than me. But if there's people that are passionate about this material other than me, I've looked for them on Twitter. They're not there. I've looked for them on Instagram. They're not there. I've looked for them now finally on Facebook. They're not there. If they're hanging out on the Patreon, I guess that's the final, or maybe they're just, the silent majority. They're just in the ether. But, I've speculated about this before, and it can only be speculation that, essentially this stuff is, first of all, in the grand scheme of things, tabletop role-playing game is beyond the fucking niche to begin with. Unless we're talking, even when we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons 5.0. When we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons 5.0, it's competitive Scrabble land. It really fucking is. You could say anything you want to about like fucking Tales of Xandria or the fucking YouTube ladies or whatever. This is beyond a fucking minority. Believe you me, homies. When Wizards of the Coast are doing everything in their power to turn their product into a digital asset, believe you me, this is decoupage. This is, like the final days of the Shields and Yarnell fan club. Like, you know what I mean? Like God bless us, you know what I mean? Like we are hungry men. Like God bless us. We are, we existed. Hey, remember those little kids with the wagon wheel and the stick in those like old-timey picture and like those old-timey paintings? Like that, but for the future. What are those people doing? They're playing a role-playing game. But where's the computer screen? And where are the controllers? No, darling, they're playing with pen and paper. A tabletop role-playing game. What? What? Pen and paper? Like the cavemen? No, not like the cavemen. Like the jackasses on YouTube talking to the freakazoids and the accompanied. Listen, folks, I love you. This is the dedicated YouTube space for Micro Chapbook RPG, and no one who comes here even gives a damn about it. Honestly, folks, if you love Micro Chapbook RPG, why don't you tell me about it? I've invited you to tell me about it before. Are you excited about Micro Chapbook RPG 2.0? I can tell you who apparently doesn't give two fucks, and that's Facebook, Micro Chapbook RPG group, because I'll tell you what, Noah Patterson made the announcement. When he made the announcement about Noah Patterson told me, I said, do you care if I call you he, she, whatever? And they said, as a non-binary person, I don't care about what pronouns you use. So I guess it doesn't matter. Okay. Unique approach, which is fine. But they made this announcement. This video will probably get more views than their announcement video. Their video announcing this whole dramatic 2.0 shindig got 37 views in the last 4 days. Spooky says, I love listening to people tell me about Micro Chatbook RPG. Unfortunately, for Spooky, nobody is talking about Micro Chatbook RPG. Shadow Zone Projection says, what demographic does he think buys this stuff? But that's the other thing. That's pen and paper. It is what it is. So look, I've yet to see. So the announcement was for winter. So there's a new game coming out apparently. So apparently, fuck you, Midnight Series. So listen. So folks, after 1.75 was dropping, and remember, my take on 1.75 was, hey folks, I'm starting up this new channel. I know folks over at Micro Chatbook, Micro RPG are on to 1.75. I guess who? No one. I don't know if anyone's playing these games besides me. I mean, someone must be playing them. Is anyone playing them? Are you a subscriber to my channel? Because if I got my initial blast of subscribers, obviously, were people following me from my prior career as a erotic dancer on YouTube. I'm joking. I wasn't a dancer. I was an ASMR suggestive erotic poet. Would you buy that for $1? I have a Patreon. I'm your private dancer. Your dancer for money. I'll do what you want me to do. Your private dancer. Dancer for money. Any old music will do. Deutschmarks are dollars. American Express will do nicely. Thank you. Be right back. No, I'm sorry. Where was I? Deutschmarks are dollars. Money always distracts me. I'm Jewish. Kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. I better not be kidding. I'm not kidding. Clearance. Make the jokes. So I love Micro Chatbook RPG, but the concern is this. As excited as I might be for the project or the desire to want to cover this material in the hopes of bringing the golden gems to the surface, I'm going to keep on doing that because the golden gems that are there are great, but it's going to have to be, I think, in the context of, folks, this is a confusing product line, but in this confusing product line, get this one or get that one. Maybe it's going to all turn around. And at the end of the day, maybe 2.0 will symbolize a stop. Or maybe it's just, or maybe, you know what? At the end of the day, when Mersbo kept on releasing CDs, I kept on saying, this is crazy and this can't work. And how do you keep on releasing these CDs? No one's going to keep, I kept on buying those CDs, loving them. But, things change. And, all those endless kind of Mersbo releases, they really make no sense in the context of like the digital post-release future, like where things like aren't releases. And when these things are, like I buy these things on Amazon, and I love these hard, these physical releases that I get on Amazon. But I know I'm in the minority on that front, getting the books, getting the hard copy. I know the majority of people that buy this stuff buy the PDFs and stuff. I really got to be honest and say that I think the majority of people that, dipped into or got involved with Micro Chatbook RPG probably did so in the kind of the solo heyday of COVID, and their love affair with it, might have been then. And I think a lot of people who are on the Facebook page are probably legacy subscribers. And I think a lot of other people are like me, serial consumers who, knowing, how like kind of, collectible and cool, and especially the price point, when you know that you love picking up RPG books, but you know that you really can't justify another, $45 core rule book purchase. On a Friday, it's real easy to, throw in a $6, you know, self-published OSR, book, or, micro RPG book, um, into your Amazon cart, and know that you got a game, know that you got a role-playing game, a new one to look at, to play with. I like Noah. I've had, texts, back and forth. They did this announcement video, and it's obvious that they're stoked that they did this announcement video, but the announcement video has got, 5 likes, and it's got 1 comment, so excited about this, and and it's part of, it's an announcement for a new game. But look, if I go to the micro RPG page on Drive-Thru RPG, okay? Let me see if I do this. I don't want the hottest titles. What if I want like all titles? How do I do this? Publisher. How do I do this? I don't want the hottest. How do I hate Drive-Thru RPG. I don't hate Drive-Thru RPG. I shouldn't say that. I don't want the hottest titles. What if I want all the titles? What if I just want the titles in order? Here we go. Maybe this will work. Well, I'll give it to be title. What if I want sort by date added. If I do that. Okay. So let's do this. Let me share a screen with you guys. This is a beautiful idea. So here's Joe's side. Maybe make a public Amazon wish list, and maybe somebody would get you some RPGs for the holidays, or because it's Friday and they just got paid. That's beautiful. But you know what? God bless that. I got a Patreon. You know what? If someone wants to support me on Patreon. That way you get a little bit something in return. You don't need to gift me anything. If you're going to gift something to somebody truly in need. I am not in need. I can pay for my own action figures and RPGs. If you get the urge to buy an RPG for somebody, hey, if you're going to get the urge to buy an RPG for somebody, pay attention to the RPGs you see me playing here. Buy yourself something similar you might one day play with me, or buy an RPG for somebody in need, or buy something else for somebody in need, or go like Toys for Tots or something. If you're going to support me on Patreon, where you can at least get something in return, like free videos or something like that. No D&D. Too commercial. Gotta go off the beaten track. Where was I going? Oh, here we go. Let me do this. We'll share screen. The point that I want to make here is here we go. Okay. Now, so this was something that they gave away. This is beautiful. They gave this away. This is pay what you want. You could do a donation or you could just get it for free. Pixel Zombie Mayhem. That's good. Here's the week 4 bundle for the all of the dungeons for the Black Ink Depths for the last week of these. So again, like these are like how many dungeons were there? And all of these dungeons essentially, look, I mean, what's the difference between one of these dungeons and one of these quote unquote games? I mean, a lot of these, I mean, it's like, the value for the dollar. So here we go. Look, the last one of these like games that came out were Hell Among the Stars. That was released on the 28th. Okay. So while Noah is releasing all of these games, while 4 dungeons came out, he released a full fucking game. The micro RPG Midnight Series game, Hell Among the Stars, came out. If you want to play one of these games, look, it's hours of playthrough. I'm telling you. If I wanted to do a comprehensive playthrough of one of these games and review it for you to try and do sales for you guys, to try and push sales, if anybody wanted to try and push sales of any of these products for Noah, if any reviewers, if he wanted to send out copies to anybody, to get any players on YouTube to try and do playthroughs for people, to try and move product for him. How can they when he's released one game on the 28th? When was the last time he released a game before then? Well, there was another dungeon, 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 a collection of the previous dungeons, dungeon. That looks like Baby Hitler. Barn of Dolls, that's Baby Hitler. That's Baby Hitler. Fuck you. I'm sorry. No, it's not Baby Hitler. It's Baby Hitler. Oh, no, I screwed it up. Okay, here we go. Dungeon. Why is there chicken in the corn? Anyway, dungeon. Full fucking game. Blackout Manor. Confusing as all fuck. Complicated. Crazy. Interesting. Complex. I talked about it a little bit. But it was released 14 days prior to the release of the next one. You're releasing a game every 2 weeks. Are you on drugs? Do you have a drug problem? Full game. Open-ended fantasy, basic booklet. Released on September 30th, 2022. Full game. Spoopy Friends, The Ghosts of Milrose Manor. Date added, 9/22/2022. Full game. Full game. Cannibal Zombie Flesh Eaters for the 212 system, not the micro RPG system, not the solo roleplay system, a different game system, Gamesploitation, a different game system. Welcome to Game Exploitation, 9/16/2022. The prior release for 2012 system, Camp Bloodbath, came out 9/2/2022, 14 days prior. The release prior to that was the Academy of Mistahog in the Micro RPG Midnight Series, 8/19/2022. Do you see what's happening? We had Tavern Brew, which was just a simple game for 99 cents released on 8/5. The point being this, we have what? A more than monthly one-page dungeon, an adventures release, another one-page dungeon in June, a full adventure for Warrior Queens released in June, another one-page dungeon released in June. The point is this: you're the Mersbo of RPGs, but if I listen to a Mersbo CD is listened to in 70 minutes. You can't play a game in 70 minutes, sweetheart. So you're releasing games because I guess you have to. 5/6/22. This has got 3 stars, and I can tell you why. It has I think I know why. There's a problem with the communication of the water rules, how Noah describes water, and how you pilot rafts. The way it was described in the supplement to Death in Dino Valley is like unusable. Like you can't even understand like what it's supposed to be. If I continue on, you'll see 417 is a dungeon for Gay Realms. 422 is Warrior Queens. This is the release of a full game. Cars of Neon, you know what I mean? So it's like, look, I mean, it is a heavy release schedule. And so are you wondering why people are confused about where to get involved? Hammer and Cross AD. If we start talking, and here's the other thing about this whole Gay Realms thing, Noah Patterson's take on the Gay Realms, I love. I have no problem with it whatsoever, but I am like, everybody knows, like, I'm a sicko, right? Like, I have no problem with it, but there are plenty of people, everybody knows, like, the gay community has evolved, and there are plenty of gay people who are like, gay is normal, and do not like conceptions of homosexuality always equaling kink or freakiness or craziness or always being drag queens and leather and this. And so if you get to stuff like Hammer and Cross AD or a lot of the stuff with the Gay Realms, there's a lot of stuff where a lot of people might be like, you know, this is not my Gay Realms. And so when I talked a lot about this stuff, in the early days of starting to talk about with this evolution of the Gay Realms, I said, this is going to alienate so many people. And that's another thing. Like, how am I supposed to build up a community of this stuff where I'm going to try and sell this stuff and be like, hey, and by the way, as I'm telling you about this product, be advised that it's one thing to tell people that you can select preferences. It's another thing to put them like as kind of like defaults. And like that was like part of the thing that started to happen with like this evolution in micro chapbook RPG and micro RPG is that like I'm starting to complain that people know that I'm starting to complain about core rules that are being lost and not being put in and explained. And the reason that it seems that they're not there is because we're losing that space to things like the luck dice, but we're also losing that space because we're taking a paragraph to explain that you're going to roll for the sexual orientation of your partner or the fact that you can get married on page 35. And it's like, do we need that? Is that germane? Does everybody need that? Or can we just kind of assume that if it's a solo RPG game of this size, that people can figure out in the naming process of their warrior queen of Dinosaur Valley that she can be a lesbo if you want her to be, and she can have like a chick on the side, or that you can have her be gender queer. You can like do these other things, or that you can have that, or have it be, and remember your character can reflect any identity that you want to have be reflected, or it's your world and have it be anything you want to, or just know that it's the attitude and outlook of the creator of this world, that this world should be a world of inclusion and yada yada yada, without it being this is this and the other thing. Because I got to tell you something, I haven't seen anything in that leads me to believe that there's been a lot of people that have been like, this is great, thank you for doing this, it's very important that this is created or constructed in this way. And if I'm wrong about that, and there are people that are that feel that way, then then maybe there's a purpose for this. My feeling is this, is that I think what's going to end up happening is that the tale of Noah Patterson will be, here was a brilliant role playing game content creator who created too much, and may end up being a lesson in the fact that whether we like it or loathe it, life is a black and white cookie. It's like a left brain, right brain experience. It's like positive and negative, masculine and feminine. There's something about existence that involves this kind of duality, this kind of give and take between energies. And it may be that what's happening with what I'm reacting to in this with this 2.0 announcement is the fact of what I've sensed a lot of, and that is when you hear about the success stories in the world of creatives, and also sometimes when we hear the failures, oftentimes there are these synergies that occur where you realize that there'll be this amazing creative force that will end up hooking up with a great business person or a great business force. And it's in that synergy that things really happen. I just came back from Disney World, and one of the things that I kind of learned there was this thing between Walt Disney and I think his brother Roy, his older brother Roy, and that was that you have Walt Disney's the creative, but then his brother, I think it was Roy, was the guy who was like made all the deals with the marketing and the putting Mickey Mouse and making the banks and the phones and the this and the other thing, and putting the mouse that gave, I think, also like trained Walt to think like long term about things, like, and put some of the ideas in his head about things like Disney World or whatever. I think that's kind of like what I got from some of the exhibits I saw at the little museum of Walt or whatever it was. That's probably PR or whatever. But then you also have things like Kiss and the guy from Casablanca Records, or their manager or whatever, or Led Zeppelin and that crazy guy with the no, I'm confusing with the guy from Spinal Tap, but you know what I mean. Like, there's just, but the problem is this, is that, or anyway, it doesn't matter. The examples. Yeah, I apologize for that crazy massive outburst of me saying, yeah, you're on drugs, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? It just may be the thing, like, look, I mean, also it's like, hard times, like economics. I think what's happening probably is this. What's probably happening is this. Microbeef. What's probably happening is this, right? Noah Patterson would probably prefer to make tabletop role-playing game content to doing anything else for a living. And therefore will continue to produce this stuff at a breakneck pace. Flooding the fucking market and making sure that come hell or high water, when the aliens come 5,000 years from now, they're sure to find at least a few examples of the work of Dean Spencer. If you don't know, now you know. Dean Spencer. You don't tabletop RPG. You don't know what you know. You don't mess around in the drips and dregs of the tabletop role-playing game underground without learning about the name of Dean Spencer. If you don't know, you better find out. Who knows about Dean Spencer? No bullshitting. You guys and gals don't know about Dean Spencer because y'all bullshitters. You're my homies. You don't know about shit. Folks, this is so sad. I've got like a fairly huge number of subscribers for a solo RPG channel. And I swear to God, people would think that I'm like a carpetbagger. I am like the biggest sham scam in solo RPG. It's not even funny. I am like a spy in the house of loser. It's so sad, right? It's so pathetic. No one here, right, knows shit except the people who are like, I bought some of these books because I felt bad for Ben that he was out here screaming like a douche about nothing. So here's the other thing. Oh man. Yo, tell you another thing, a story of my life. That's the story of my life, and the shit keeps flowing. We've been here for an hour and 27 minutes. Yo, Noah 2.0, 2.0. Why? Yo, who's playing this shit? Man, there ain't been a micro RPG playthrough on YouTube for a goddamn minute. Yo, are there micro RPG fans? I make this micro RPG content. Are you excited for 2.0? Do you want me to keep on talking about it? I keep on asking y'all, and y'all don't give a shit. Listen, I'm the only one who gives a shit about micro chapbook RPG, apparently, besides for Noah Patterson. I think sometimes it seems as though I give more of a shit than he does. Straight up. No, that can't possibly be true. Kinda. No, it couldn't possibly be true. Rugged source talk about. I'm not talking about anything that anybody else talks about. I only talk about shit that nobody else talks about. I'm only going to cover shit that nobody else talks about. That's what I'm going to be talking about straight up. Chaos's limb. What? Straight up. Look at that. Look at that art. I am talking about shit no one talks about. From now on, I am going deeper into the underground. What? CW. Cable Guy Incognito, where the fuck my name is here. You've been just complaining about Micro Chapbook RPG. Now this guy just is going like into lower stratospheres of obscurity, and the sex bots just showed up. My Private photo free here? I don't want your what? We need a mod. Oh, I don't have any mods here. That's right. That looks like the reboot book you got from a province that doesn't exist in Canada. I told you she exists. You were yeah, yo, Chaos is limb. You meet the worst girl, you meet the worst RPGs on the rebound. Yo, I love this. What is this? Who wrote this? R.L. Vieira. Writing and editing by R.L. Vieira, editing by Frank Vieira, playtesting by Tim Wooten, Dale Andrade, Philip Larry, and Frank Vieira. Artwork by Dean Spencer, but not that part, not that front one. That's custom, yo. And when we get done with that shit, then we'll cover something even more obscure, like Mall by Philip Mathis. Heard about it? Neither have I. If that doesn't float your boat, how about Pits and Peril by James and Robin George? Robin George absolutely had nothing to do with this. Robin George is just his wife, who James loves enough to just like basically include on the title. Honestly. This book is dedicated to Robin, my beautiful wife and collaborator. None of this would have been possible without her love and support. So if you like these rules, thank her. You know, she didn't do shit. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Fabulous gal. And we'll finish the here's a spiked axe. I looked up Dean Spencer. I'm really liking his art. That's why you gotta love these streams. Always trying to learn. His shading, colors, and designs look awesome from here, and it's all free. Could anyone write and produce these things for players? Like, could I do it? Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, can anyone do it? I mean, look, it takes skill. Pets and Perils is an accurate way to describe the smell and conventions on day 3. Absolutely. Hey. What does it take? Hold on, let me do this one thing at a time. I'm not upset with Noah Patterson. I love Noah Patterson. I just want the best for everybody. Let me do this, make sure I don't get the geesh. Let me do this. Oh, crap. No, you know how it is? Hold on. What do I have to do? I have to do this. See if that'll work. Does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? It's like everyone's going to be a moderator. It's going to be ridiculous. Okay, so I think everyone is a moderator. Genocide, are you a moderator? I think everyone except Kent Speak is a moderator, and that's only because I don't know exactly who Kent Speak is. Okay. Okay. So there you go. Sex find XYZ. That'll teach you. Talk about a classic overreaction. One sex bot. Wait, actually, true to form, right? Talk about classic RPG scenario, right? Whole bunch of RPG people in a room. One sex bot shows up. Everyone's a moderator. Get it. Yang. Totally. There you go. Rugged source. I'm the anti-mod, but you should incorporate tarot cards with the RPG and will be a pro dungeon master. I thought I was already doing that. I thought that's what I was doing. But anyway, speaking to that point, here we go. Folks, the solo playthrough was supposed to happen. It was going to happen. It's happening. It was going to happen. I was going to do more stuff tonight, but then this came up, and I was like, well, I wanted to do this announcement because a couple of things. I wanted to kick the tires. I really wanted to kick the tires and see what would happen. I wanted to see, let's have a specific micro RPG news announcement and see if there's any response. Because we're getting to the point where we're going to have to see if there's a response. Because it's just a question of assessing what we're doing. Not to, turn on anybody or to throw anybody, in the dumpster, but just to assess and do a cost-benefit analysis. Because it doesn't make any sense to put energy into building something up if it's kind of going to be really have a hard time surviving, right? It's like, not to be cold-blooded about it, but it's like when people talk about abortion and the decision-making, the difficult decision-making process that some people have to go through when they talk about the viability of a fetus and whether or not they want to continue with the pregnancy. And sometimes people become aware that the fetus that they're carrying has got severe birth defects, and they'll have realistic conversations with neonatal, obstetricians, and they'll talk about, the projections about life expectancy and quality of life, and sometimes difficult decisions are made. And talk about a hyperbolic example and talk about being really dramatic about things. But look, if this system has been existing for 2 years and it's got less than 600 fans on Facebook who are not actively engaging on Facebook, and it's got almost no active engagement on Instagram at all, and it's got no active engagement on Twitter at all. And the only person that's really kicking ass and trying to really do anything, besides the author of the material is me. And I'm having a hard time kind of getting a rise out of the author of the material, despite the fact that I'm kind of going crazy trying to support the material. Fuck it. I tried. Now, without a doubt, the stuff that I've done with micro RPG, there has been some traction in those videos. So it does seem as though there is some stuff, there's some like there. But what I think really is the deal is this. I just think the nature of the system itself, it's a casual system. That people generally care for casually, if they care at all. And of the systems that have engendered communities that could support a dedicated YouTube channel, this system, unfortunately, just isn't there. So if I want to kill myself to try and make that community happen, that's fine, but it doesn't currently exist. And I don't know how to make that community exist or materialize out of thin air. And I don't really know if that is something that I would necessarily, need or want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I essentially would, my idea for covering this material was, to be of service, to say, like to want to say to people like, to solo RPG players who would be, presumably, if you are looking at this material and wondering where to start with it, here is where you could possibly start. Rugged Sources, there is a subreddit for solo RPGs which is active, and I will tell you this: there is, and I checked it out, and I'm on that subreddit. I don't really do Reddit that much, but I will tell you this: guess what? There's very little talk of micro RPG on that subreddit. In fact, there's a whole solo on that solo RPG. There's a whole There's a whole thread or whatever you want to call it, called micro RPGs, that never mentions micro RPG. Noah Patterson's micro RPG, just using it as a general term, a generic term for small RPGs. And that's another problem. Micro RPG is an app. There's another thing called the Big Book of Micro RPGs. MicroRPG.com is not owned by Noah Patterson. I'm telling you, it's like a generic term. There's going to be problems with trademark and copyright. Nowhere does a trademark or copyright currently, I think, appear for Micro Chapbook RPG anywhere, which means it would indicate to me that it's not copywritten. So, like I said, if there's no business acumen being demonstrated by the creator of the material itself, then, like I said, I'm coming back to that Judge Judy quote: "Don't hook your dreams to a falling star." If the creator of this, if I'm thinking about supporting a system, when you support a system, look, folks, if you support a system, whether you're supporting the Xbox 360 or the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 or the Vita or whatever, you have to know and understand what's the risk. I'm going to get behind this hardware. I'm going to get behind this software. I'm going to get behind this big box board game. I'm going to get behind this tabletop role-playing game system. I'm going to get behind this collectible card game. I'm going to get behind this miniature game. I'm going to do the initial investment. I'm going to get behind the initial investment on the Kickstarter or whatever, in the hopes, in the dreams that it's going to be, lucrative. It's going to go somewhere. And if it doesn't end up getting a core audience, what ends up happening? Those miniatures never get the second support units issued. That collectible card game never gets the second army attachment issued. It never gets the supplemental cards or the other booster packs issued. And it just becomes a relic. Something that you maybe whip out, in 5 years on the YouTube channel. Hey guys, y'all know if you remember this. Does anyone remember the Lord of the Rings game, the collectible card game from 2003? Oh yeah. Well, maybe you remember this. I got really into it back at the local hobby shop here. I got a couple of the 50 or 60 of the cards here. I like it. Here's the Sauron's Root of Impenetrable Evil. It's a big one. Yep. So then 15 minutes later. So that was it. A couple of my friends had a couple of fun times playing the game, but Tops stopped supporting it. Guess the audience wasn't there. The movies were pretty good. McDonald's did a giveaway for the, that extra card, and and that's how the whole story goes. Oh, you could still use the miniatures for God tier. All the, this miniature could be pressed into the service as an HQ unit for Warhammer 40K, and that's how the old game goes. Another game that wasn't supported, another card game that didn't fly. So you go on to Micro 2.0. What are people going to do with their 1.75 rule books? This is not Dungeons and Dragons where you have an install base of, you can still find people that are going to play 2.0. So what the fuck am I supposed to do to support or to tell people about Death in Dino Valley that you still have for sale on Amazon? You don't take any of your old shit down, because it's not as though Noah Patterson takes any of the old stuff down off of Amazon or Drive-Thru RPG. That's what's maddening, though. It's not like any of these people that do the self-publishing stuff. They never take any of their old stuff down. And I'm not saying that I necessarily want them to, because I'm like all for game preservation, but it gets fucking confusing. And then they're going to wonder why their sales suck, or why everyone's fucking confused, or why they don't have an install base. How are you going to get an install base when you don't take the time to build a community? How are you going to build a community of gamers when you keep on changing the core rule set? You have to stay in one place for a little bit of time. You have to stay in one place. I know you may get bored. You may get bored. But unfortunately, if you want to build long-term success, you're going to have to stay in place for a little bit longer than 6 months. And I don't know if you need to do what may be happening, which is this: bigger, faster, better, longer, uncut, whatever. Do we need it to say 2.0? Does it need to be anything other than another Noah Patterson release? Maybe it should be more like a choose your own adventure or Fabled Lands game book kind of mindset versus a Dungeons and Dragons edition mindset, in the sense that these things are not boxed game sets. So why not just treat them as books and just, release a book every 6 months like Stephen King, if that's what you're going to fucking do. But just release them as books. Don't worry about calling it edition 2.0, and just friggin' release another Noah Patterson micro RPG game and just call it that, and just, have it be that. And maybe just not worry about these naming conventions and these edition conventions, because maybe we're overthinking it that way, and maybe that's what's causing the confusion. Or maybe you know something that I don't. And maybe behind the scenes, despite what the numbers on social media might show, behind the scenes, these books are flying off the shelves. These PDFs are rolling off the 1 and 0 spinning machine and are going nuts. But who knows? I don't. I barely know how to play. I gotta go. I got a phone call I gotta make. I didn't realize how late it was getting. I love you. I love Noah Patterson. 2.0. 1.7. How are you gonna? You gotta slow down. No. So here's Rugged Story. So here's my fear. Possible that micro RPGs are ahead of its time and will be more popular in the future. That was the case with some board games. Possible, but here's the thing. I think as though it's there's more competition. You know, when Dungeons and Dragons came out, there were only Dungeons and Dragons, and then there was just Dungeons and Dragons and Tunnels and Trolls. But now that micro RPG is out here in a world full of there's micro RPG and there's micro RPG and Four Against Darkness and Dark Fort and micro, you know what I mean? Like there's too much competition. Do you know what I mean? It's like this, like say there was like half the number of people in the world. Like if you think about the number of people that were in the world in 1978 or 1974 when they first released Dungeons and Dragons versus the number of people in the world today, it's like the number of billions of people, like the difference, it's like it's demonstrably like incredible. Like it's like it'll freak you out. You know what I mean? Five of Pentacles. We have the Spirit Halloween deck. The Halloween season is behind us, but this Halloween deck is still here giving us loyal service. The 5 brings us to the human condition, manifest on planet Earth. The Pentacles brings us to planet Earth. Here the shaman dances on the surface of the planet, bringing the elements together. We work with what we have, and we have to take what we have. If we take what we have and accept it, and don't question, and don't protest, and don't complain, but rather seek to understand and know why, what is present and manifest, why it's present and manifest, then we'll have an answer. Even if it's an answer that we've constructed, we'll have an answer. And if it's an answer that satisfies, if it's an answer that works, for me, for you, for the community, then we've done our job. we engage in this activity, we engage in these games, we engage in these discussions because we're working something out. We seek to understand. I've told you what I think. You can tell me what you think, if you think anything at all. And like I said, no one is wrong. No one has upset me. It's not a bad thing. It just is what is. I love Micro Chapbook RPG. It's a very good and fun role-playing game system for solo role-playing. But it may be the case that despite my early intent to really get behind this gaming system and want to really dedicate my YouTube channel to it and its support, that because there's a lack of, other community interest in it, and because the creator of the system doesn't really seem to have like a concrete vision of where it's going, or to the degree that they have a vision, that vision seems to be taken in places that I don't necessarily, like as a gamer. That might not be what turns out or comes to pass. So be it. The conversation continues, and the conversation isn't written in stone, and the conversation is not that big a deal. What's more a big deal is that we talked. Possibly. Did you watch this video? Did you watch this video to the end? People that aren't regular fans of my content, people that may have tuned in for Micro Chapbook RPG stuff, what'd you think? Did this have relevance to you as a tabletop role player? Did this have no relevance to you? Do you like me? Do you hate me? You like, comment, and subscribe? Will you do none of this? Tell me in the comment section below, or refrain from doing so. The world is yours, in a manner of speaking. All right. It is what it is. Okay, into the next rambling discussion, we ramble on. Ramble on, if it is your desire to ramble, or refrain from rambling, if that is what floats your proverbial boat. Here we go. Spike Dax sounds like G4, which was amazing. For a time, do we need to do a G4 plus micro RPG cut up? Lol. Hey, like I said, it like you can't go home again, right? Or you want, like, let's bring back G4. Sounds like a great idea, but then you bring it back and it's like you want it to be awesome, right? It's the 99th reunion of Black Sabbath. Generals gathered and their masses. Yay. They're back. It's the Rolling Stones. If you start me up. Ooh. Oh, yeah. They still got it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Paul McCartney, the cute Beatle. I'm too pooped to pop, baby. He's as old as your great-grandfather. It's Phil Collins. That ain't the Crypt Keeper. It's Dolly Parton's left foot. I'm out, folks. I love you. You mean the world to me. One love. Till the next one. One love. Jet Petty, love ya. Their 30th anniversary last tour. Hey, listen, the Kiss's attitude is like, we can keep on going. We'll never catch up to those guys. There'll always be one reunion tour ahead of us. That's it. Gene Simmons, make money. Is there a way we can make tarot cards where we own all the tarot cards? Gene Simmons, make money. Micro Chapbook RPG. Gene Simmons. Roll a 6, I am the boss. Give me all your money. Gene Simmons, make money.